Danny Baker, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
I'm going to start by praising you.
I'll go on, and then burying me, right?
You are one of the great raconteurs of our age, many would say.
Thank you.
But I'm going to ask you to keep the answers quite short.
You know me, Mr. Concise, I can do that.
But you certainly talk quickly, so that
I talk very quickly, yes, it is. So if you unravel it at the end, you can run it at half speed and get a 10-minute interview out of it.
I'm going to put the battery in. You want to hold the clock?
No, I didn't. I thought you were proffering it.
I'm just sticking out so I can put the battery in. And then you can count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, please.
Yes, I'm aware. I've seen most of these programmes. I love this show. If show, we can dignify it with.
Let's call it a show.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom.
Why do you talk so fast? Is it because there's just so much to fit in?
I'm from South London. My family are from East London, and people think there's no distinction in that. There's a huge distinction. People in East London, like my uncles, will talk a lot slower, a lot more like this. Whereas in South London, it's a lot more fluid, a lot more Only Fools and Horses, which was set in Peckham. It's a South London trait.
What was it like growing up as the son of a docker?
Unbelievably good. It was like that cliche. It was like Aladdin's cave in there. My dad was 10 times the showman I was, and it should have been. But it was absolutely wonderful growing up in a house where you never knew if you were going to wake up to the pungent smell of 10 chests of curry powder getting delivered, or unblown up footballs, or alcohol. Or one time the house was absolutely full of what we used to call continental quilts, duvets, an actual Pantechnicon, pushed down the little tiny turning on the estate where we lived and unloaded them into our house. But apart from that, he wasn't just a doctor, of course. He was an enormous personality and introduced me to football and everything else, and he spoke louder than I do.
Twin loves, is it fair to say, football and music?
No, twin loves are music and P.G. Wodehouse. But I don't read fiction other than Wodehouse. I love showbiz autobiographies, particularly really rotten ones, like Don Estelle's or the Danny LaRue's and people like that. But no, football, as the years go by, it's in the pantheon, but it's not something I go nuts about too much.
Are you falling out of love with it?
No, I was never really in love with it, and that's half the thing. The myth that all football supporters sit around like these cartoon people on commercials, sitting in cafes going, I don't know, I think if England play 4-4-2, nobody talks like that. It is part of an overall life, and of course the passion's there. It's the greatest game in the world, and I simply cannot understand people who don't follow it. But I don't recognise this kind of TV cliche of a football supporter. I don't understand it. It's a social thing. Most football matches at the level I go to are spent like this anyway. The game's going on there and you're going, see the boxing the other night, what'd you make of that? That's what it's like. Conversations in grounds. Clubs like to believe that we hang on every word of it, but football supporters and football supporting and football are two different things. And I'm more of a football supporter than a craven follower of the football game.
We're going to leave football behind.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite band of all time?
Yes, I do have a favourite band. And the thing is, I just did that thing on TV about LPs, and I wanted to call it Betting Without the Beatles, because I actually don't think, and I know it's an obvious answer, I don't think the Beatles are lauded enough. People don't realise that the entire world was changed by them. So let's bet without the Beatles, and I'll go over towards, I'll go, because I've got all the usual suspects, but I'll tell you what I genuinely adore, Tiny Tim. From the 1960s, I think Tiny Tim is an absolute, well, I'll say the word genius. I think he was. I don't think he realised it, but I have hundreds, if not thousands, of Tiny Tim records.
So I'm going to speed up. Music sort of really got you into the public eye in the first place, and music journalism. Yes,
I guess so. It's an extraordinary route that I went through, yes, I tumbled. And I coincided with the punk rock coming along, even though I'd been around music long before that. I left school at 14, went to work in a record shop, turned out to be the record shop in London long before megastores, customers Elton John, Mark Bolan, McCartney, and I knew my stuff. My dad used to get records out the docks as well, and when I was 11 I used to go to street markets with like boxes of records he got at the dock and sell them. And so from very early on, abstractly or directly, music has been all over me.
You've made lots of telly in your life. You presented
telly,
but you're probably now best known for radio.
Probably, I'll done with that there, I think.
What makes for magical radio?
No nuisances behind the scenes. It only takes about 2 or 3 people to make a radio show, and in the modern way, there's about 30 people making it. I actually disagree when people get awards and they say, Obviously, no radio show can be done alone. I think it can be sometimes, and I think the internet's proving that. I think what you've got to do is second guess the audience. You've got to get away from whatever terrible broadcasting schools churn out people to look after shows, and you've not got to patronise your audience like 98% of radio does by coming on and pretending you're interested in them. You form your own groups on the radio between you and the audience.
Now, you love life.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on this, but you did have cancer.
I had cancer. I nearly died. I had cancer of the head, Matt. Of the head. I did.
How did you cope with it?
Well, you know what? You can't be defined by it. There's nothing you can do. And people, again, may be conditioned by seeing TV dramas and stuff. But it never occurred to me for a second I was going to die. And it was 8 terrible, revolting months. And you've got no choice. What choice do you have? What you mustn't do is to go for that thing about you're battling it. You're not. You are Hastings Beach. And we're done, are we? Yeah, it's science battles it. You're the battleground.
And Danny Baker, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I had so many questions for you. Quickly, you're a spender, not a saver, aren't you?
God, yeah. Oh, completely. I mean, look, yes, I mean, I've got to tell you, I live in a very nice house here, but every single tanner I've ever earned has been spent building this house and entertaining people, and I think the worst thing you can be in life is frightened and mean. And that's what media tries to do to you. It tries to tell you, if you're not frightened, we're not doing our job. Don't buy it.
Danny Baker,
thank you very much indeed. That was too quick. Whoever passed it, you should have made it like the 2-hour show. I'm sure there's an audience for it.